Hello Tarot fans, welcome to another edition of Blue Sicx Tarot. I'm your fantastic host Blue Sicx. Thank you very much for watching. If you are new or haven't done so already, please like, share and subscribe, leave a comment below and follow me on the social medias linked down in the description. In today's video we'll be taking a really interesting look at one of the newest released decks that's been released in the UK at least. It's been in America for a while, but it's only just hit our shores recently. So we'll have a quick look through. Without further ado, roll on that intro. So today we'll be looking at the Macabre Tarot. Now, I've actually had this in my possession for a few weeks. Some of you who've been following me on social media would have seen me post about this. But it wasn't actually released in the UK until about last week. Now, the reason I managed to get this early was because my friend managed to get it from a wholesaler before it was officially released. So I kind of lucked out on it. So one of the first things that attracted me to this is the fact of it's a large coffin. The box itself is about 9 inches or 23 centimetres, and at its longest 5.5 inches or 14 centimetres. That's pretty cool. But if you followed me on the social media, you'd also know the other really cool thing about this. Now let's be fair, that's cool. Little speakers in there, and the sensor just being here. Nope, that didn't work, but I believe that's a sensor. But anyway, moving on, we've got a nice little book, and we've got the cards, so I'll just take them out. So first of all, we've got the lovely book. Same size as the cards, so these are the standard size, so 14 centimeters or just over 5.5 inches to about 8 centimeters to about 3.5 inches. So it's a solid little book, a bit of card, thin card, good paper. So there's not a lot in the beginning, but they're just showing they're telling you every single card, showing you some of the artwork within it, introduction, how to use them, and some layouts. Pretty standard. So first off, we'll take a look at the back. The back is highly detailed with bats, moons, moths, skulls, eyes, etc. There's just a lot of really cool detail, and it just shows you the colour scheme of the cards. Black, white and gold, as you can also tell by the edges here. These are really cool, really lovely, and it really does fit into the feel of the deck itself. So first we're going to take a look at the majors. So first we have the Fool. Now, not your traditional Fool, and this is one of the cards that kind of drew me in to this deck. Just the bizarreness and surrealism of it. I'm not sure if it's doing the surrealism for surrealism's sake, but I still think that one looks really cool. Next we have the High Priestess, but in this one it's the Divine, and obviously you've got the moon phase at the top, the leaves at the bottom, and a crystal maybe, I believe. And this is another nice application of the gold. Now at the top you can see the numbers there. You can't see it too clearly there, so you've got your number 2 there. So some of the cards are renamed, but if you don't know if you don't really recognise the name, you still have the number above. But I also love the fact that the Divine has a lovely star pattern behind them as well. Next up we have the Death card, which we have with the moth. But this has more of the over-the-top death head moth, and also with a snake with the water symbol. I think that's water, and triangle pointing down, with some flowers and an eyeball, behind a coffin, once again with the gold. And you've got the crescent moons at the bottom here. And this one I think looks quite nice. Now a lot of this artwork would look so good you'd just have them as posters and tattoos and stuff like that. But the contrast, so a lot of this deck has black and white and bits of gold or a block of gold. So next we have Temperance. So once again, so it's slightly mistaken. There's a kind of dark beige sort of thing there, but still, Temperance looks kind of cool. Not traditional, but it's still very visceral. Then we have the Devil, and once again, the fact I've gone with a three-eyed goat with a halo of chains, which is the representing of restraint. And you still got the reef there, which looks quite nice. Don't quite feel the symbol for the reef, but that feels more like a decoration for the devil than anything else. And then we can take a look at the star. So we have a gorgon with a, you would assume, a bleeding skull. That still looks really cool. And this also kind of shows off some of the artwork for the more humanoid sort of look. The little puddle at the bottom I think is pretty cool. What I noticed is in the fact there isn't actually any stars in the background, like with the Divine. But I still think this looks quite cool. Not necessarily the sort of card you'd associate with the star, unless the idea is that this body of water is what they're dipping the skull into, like in the traditional Rider-Waite. So next we're going to take a look at the aces. So first we have Ace of Bones. So bones in this deck are the wands, and here we have a fallen spinal column, dripping gold. Once again, I think that looks pretty cool. And no. Oh no, there we go. That looks a bit better. Yeah, so I think that does look pretty cool with the dripping gold there. Then we have Ace of Daggers, which is obviously the swords. Once again, the background is plain, so all the imagery is just of the picture itself. However, I wouldn't necessarily say that this is the deck for beginners. I would probably say more, if you are a practitioner, I'd say this is more of an advanced deck rather than your standard. But it would make a lovely gift for someone. Then we have the Ace of Crystals, which is the coins or pentacles in this deck. And I like the rodents of some description, or at least the long-tailed mammals, in a kind of spiral there, and a kind of yin-yang sort of pose with the crystal and the leaves in the middle. Kind of looks like maybe it's supposed to be an eye, like an eye for wealth. And then we have the Ace of Cups, still the standard cups. I like the fact it's a martini glass, and you've got little glittery stars in the glass itself, with an eyeball and finger as part of the decoration for this lovely looking drink. Now to take a look at the minors. So in this one I've chosen the 9 of Bones. So this has more of a 9 of Swords feeling to it. This has a 9 of Swords feeling to it rather than wands, with the idea of it being a skeleton and the candle in the background. But the detail on this, and like the shading and the shadowing, does look, the detail on that does look amazing. I do quite highly rate this. And it's a very different kind of art style from the rest of the deck. Not saying that's a bad thing, I'm just saying it's an interesting thing. So next we have the 5 of Daggers. Now that doesn't look like, once again, this isn't really standard. It's more like the feel of this is a very different sort of look and artistic feel to the standard 5 of Swords. So it is once again very kind of visceral and kind of disturbing there as well. Although, if you like disturbing artwork, this would definitely be your sort of deck. Then we got the four of crystals, with this kind of shadow thing being very hoarding of these crystals. And I like the idea of it just being like just a shadow creature. Probably something you'd see in, what was it, that game Limbo. I was thinking of the game Limbo. Yeah, check that out if you've not seen the game Limbo. And then we have the Eight of Cups. I couldn't help myself. A one-eyed, maybe spider. I'm not quite sure, but either way, it looks really cool. And it's also got the pin through it, like you would with the butterfly collection. But yeah, I just think that card looked really cool. Not necessarily symbolic of like the traditional Eight of Cups, but I still think it stood out enough to kind of warrant mentioning. To wrap up, we'll take a look at the court cards. So first off, the first court card we have is the Terror of Bones. So this would be the Page or Knave of Wands. Now, once again, this is very different to how it's usually depicted in most other tarot. With it's a skull and a nice little rose. Not necessarily the sort of thing you would have with the wands, as the wands are the element of fire, and the rose would be more representative of earth, unless it's kind of going for like roses are expensive. It's still a cool looking card though. Next we have the Nightmare of Crystals. Now, this one makes you think of those kind of crystal geode things where you have the crystals as hair. I think I've seen like the old troll dolls with crystals in their head. Hair. Once again, it does kind of have a vague nightmarish look to it. By the way, the nightmare that would just mainly be the night. But yes, this is still not something you'd necessarily want seeing in your dreams. So next we have the Haunting of Daggers. Now traditionally this would be the Queen, and what I like about this is it's another shadow person, and that it's bleeding from the neck. Now the hauntings and so basically the king and queens of this deck aren't gendered in the same way as the same way as the knights and pages aren't. In a traditional sense at least. So this could be male, this could be female, could be both, it could be neither, or it just doesn't really matter. But I still think that's always kind of a cool thing. But yeah, as I said earlier in one of the with one of the other cards, I do like the shadowy looking people. I do think that's pretty cool. And last we have the Massacre of Bones. Now, I know we had another Bones earlier, but once again, it was really hard to kind of pick out a favourite really, so I kind of doubled down with another Bones. But still look cool with the little afro hair, the golden horns, and bone earrings. I thought was pretty cool. Yeah, these were. Oh, and a nice little decoration around here. That is pretty cool. So these do kind of have a nice detail in the picture, not the background, which I always think kind of pops, really. I do think that's pretty cool. Well, I hope you enjoyed. Thanks again for watching. As I said, if you are new or haven't done already, please like, share and subscribe. Follow me on the social medias, link below, and I'll catch you all on the flip side.